There we are. All right. Hello. Welcome to, I think, episode 145 of the Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight. The number continues to grow larger every passing week. Isn't that fantastic? I am out of intro ideas, so if it wasn't obvious. Anyway, let's have our guest introduce themselves today.
All right. Uh, Hello, everyone. My name is Stump. I use they, he pronouns. And yeah, I've speedrun a lot of things, been involved in the community and different events for quite some time. I, I think like, basically, I go back quite a bit with my speedrunning, mostly original crashes and Spyros, but yeah, historically, a lot of involvement in early gen Pokemon.
Hmm. Yeah, I knew
And
there was a lot of PlayStation, but
y-
didn't know about the
yes,
Pokemon.
yeah, that was like when I really got started with the like being like participating in community stuff around 2015. It was in Pokemon.
I see. Okay. Did you want to start from the beginning then?
Uh, I guess I can. Uh, so yeah, even before that time, I yeah always had some sort of speedrunning interest. I actually before I even knew the community was a thing. As a kid, I would like sometimes keep track of how quickly I could uh, beat Spyro 120%.
Hmm.
Um, Never really thinking too much about strats or optimization or knowing too much about there like being much of a community for it. This was in like rounds like early OOs or so.
Hmm.
And yeah, actually, there was a strange thing that got me like sort of with a thinking about that in terms of things like that in terms of Pokemon, and it was something you might not expect. At one, I haven't checked whether it's still there, but at one point, like on Pokemon Blue game FAQs board, there was a like 90-minute blitz type guide and discussion of like this was way back around that time, and like it I talked about some possible like approaches to that, not with anywhere near like the optimization or just level of game knowledge we have now, but yeah, I've always sort of had an interest in like some of the inner workings of the Pokemon games, and that sort of planted a siege back then. And then in 2014, um, so the college I went to had uh, well, a club ran a little convention on a weekend in the spring that, well, one that I was sort of involved in. And yeah, I figured I want to talk a bit about like what I'm doing, go through like the route of I had found like I'd come across the Pokemon Speedruns wiki and seen the route at the time for red glitchless and yeah, wanted to like tried that out, found it sort of fun, and sort of did that in a panel slot at that convention, and was in the middle of the night, but it was a great time. Like thinking I would just sort of be talking about some of the weirdness of the mechanics and just hanging out with whoever was around. But yeah, things kind of went from there.
Hmm. So
I
around what time period was this?
What was that?
What time period was this?
Oh, this was 2014 that happened.
Okay, so long time after the running
Yes.
crash recording.
Yeah, I didn't get into uh, like speedrunning the OG crashes and Spyros until a bit later. Like what I did from the that at that for that from that convention, that actually was the first stream on my channel, which I sort of basically did for the heck of it. Uh, but yeah, I did a lot more runs of Red Glitchless, got involved a bit in some of the routing and glitch research for the glitch categories because, inner workings of the game are something that I, always had at least some sort of latent interest in. Uh, I ended up finding a way to combine two uh, bugs in Pokemon Yellow to turn the glitched no save corruption category from that into from a, you know, an annoying run that required hitting a 1 in 8 chance 40 minutes into it that took a couple minutes to set back up for if it failed. So not many
Mhm.
people would run that category to something that was faster and much more reliable. Um, yeah, so there was a time, well, before that route was obsoleted when uh, like people called the resulting route, which was kind of, yeah, sort of fun to be in that position. But yeah, I later moved on to mostly do the OG crashes and Spyros. Uh, it's a really wonderful community for behind that. Um, and yeah, along the way, I have gotten sort of, you know, that sort of showed me, well, what was going on with the glitch routing sort of, yeah, showed me that just how much goes on behind the scenes of making runs and routes happen. And similarly, I ended up more involved in things other than the actual runs. Like I like in the late 2010s, I also developed a bit of an interest in Super Metroid and uh, the randomizer of it, and you know, did a lot of commentary on speed gaming coverage of some tournaments that were going on. And lately, I've gotten more involved in helping make speedrun events happen by, you know, volunteering or staffing at them in various capacities.
I was gonna say
It's
you're at pretty much every live event ever somehow.
Yes, yes, I do go to a lot of them. The upcoming AGDQ is going to be my 23rd.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the first GDQ I went to was AGDQ 2015, and I have been at every in-person charity one since.
Wow. I
Uh,
thought I was addicted.
yeah, but being at that, the first one I went to it was so nice to just see how welcoming everyone was and how like even some of the top people in the games that I had some interest in, like at least watching a lot of, if not being fully involved in it, yeah, it was so nice to see that uh, sort of it's another thing that pulled me into remaining more involved in the community.
Hmm. What's nice is I don't think it's changed in that aspect. Like, in spite of being so much larger now, and
Yes,
different people have come and gone, it's still like overall a welcoming experience.
it really is, and was then and still is now. And that's one of the great things about speedrunning.
Yep, definitely. Because that's what really helped me. My first event was summer 2018, and going to that for the first time really helped me like solidify that I want to be a part of this thing. And I feel people still come away from their first event with that kind of mindset, even to this day, even though it's a lot has changed, as you've probably seen. So, I don't
So much has, I think even some events coming and going.
know. Mm-hmm. And we've definitely seen plenty of events come and go, for better or for worse. But yeah, at least there's always that one that
Yeah, there,
GDQ will never die, hopefully. But
yeah, but yeah, there always will be more things going on, even if some events end.
yeah, I do like that there's a lot of smaller events popping up all around, especially since GDQs are always kind of in the same areas, especially now. Nice to have more things pop up that people close to those areas could attend.
Yes,
But they seem very sporadic, and
yeah,
you never know.
actually, AGDQ being, in its current location, which I happen to be local to, sort of, called some, brought my mind to the fact that, there weren't really any local type, like more locally scoped events in the Pittsburgh area. So I actually have, been involved in a little group that's been started to, well, a group that's started running some events at conventions here. The group's called Steel City Speedsters.
Ooh, I haven't heard of it. Granted, I'm not from the area, so why would I? But
Yeah, but we, this year we ran an event, a speedrun stage at Teco, that's an anime con, and at Pittsburgh Gaming Expo. And yeah, uh, more, well, being part of those has been so, yeah, sort of nice to bring the magic of speedrunning and just people watching runners do interesting things with the game. Just getting more people to see that is a wonderful thing.
yeah, that's a something I haven't talked much about, but it's something I've noticed is there's a lot more like little speedrun stages at other conventions. Like obviously GDQ has been doing stuff at PAX and TwitchCon for a while, but now you're seeing other events or like other organizations do stuff at other expos and stuff. So kind of combining two things, and it gets more people kind of outside the community interested. So it just helps grow. And it's just cool to see.
It really is. I've even, well, for the last few years, been involved in helping run a speedrun stage at RGB Land, which is a charity LAN party in the Philadelphia area.
Hmm.
And well, it mostly sort of ends up, uh, sort of being off to the side of the room. It still has a quite, you know, dedicated set of people who do runs and like hang out and watch.
Yep. And then usually, well, I guess I don't know for all of them, but I think usually they're streamed somewhere at least.
Oh
So
yes,
yeah.
I yeah. Uh, every time there's been a well, at Con Speedrun stage I've been involved in uh, recently, whether it was just one I'm running myself at like at RGB Land or one I'm doing with the Steel City Speedsters, we have been able to stream it.
So just more speed run event content.
Yep.
It's cool because now that I think about it, like that's how GDQ started. Is it was a part of what Magfest as like a
Yes, it was
branch.
supposed. It was supposed to just sort of. The original GDQ was supposed to just be, in my understanding, just something going on off to the side at Magfest in 2010.
Hmm.
And if I remember right, there were problems getting internet there, and
Yeah.
yes, that's how they
Moved to the basement.
ended up over there. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess all live kind of speedrunning events kind of stem from being a showcase at a more bigger convention. It all kind of got its start there, and now some are just so big that they qualify as their own thing.
Yeah.
I've never really thought of it that way, but that is kind of how it is.
Yeah. Actually, just sort of being aware of that history made me kind of feel a bit entertained. The first GDQ that I was at, where they had contracted with Magfest for some of their arcade machines,
Mm.
because then, sort of Magfest doing something at GDQ.
Yeah, yeah. I guess they've always had some sort of collaboration since the start. Then.
Yes, I do miss the days when they were both in the DC area and, well, I mean, Magfest still is, of course,
Hmm.
and very consistently the last day of Magfest was the first day of AGDQ because, yeah, I could just go from one into the other.
Oh, just stack them. How long's a Magfest? I've never really seen much
Uh,
about it.
yeah, uh, Magfest runs from well, the last bunch of, it's a 4-day event from a Thursday to a Sunday.
Okay, that's kind of like
In the
PAX, I think.
Yeah, much like that. They're in the DC area and they're generally sometime in January.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Uh,
not something I'd personally attend, especially with it being so close to GDQ times. But yeah, I've tried out a PAX, so I kind of get it, at least for the time frame. I don't know how different the event is, other than that. I don't think it's well. I have been to like a gaming expo, so I assume it's more like that.
yeah, sort of. And it's a lot more, oriented towards the uh, uh, toward community-driven things, and is also has a lot of content focusing on music. That's what the M stands
Oh,
for.
okay, got it. That's right. I have heard of a lot of like video game musicians performing there.
Yeah,
So what
it's
is it? Music Art Game Fest?
music and gaming.
Oh, music and gaming. Okay. Although I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see art there.
Oh, there's plenty of that
So
too.
the A could mean that if they really wanted it to.
Yes. Uh, they also run a speedrun marathon of their own, which,
Mag
feels.
Fast, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
That's what it
I
is.
have heard of that. That's good.
Yeah,
So
I'm actually going to be doing a bit of hosting for that at the upcoming one.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, and I've had some runs in it in the past.
Mhm. So at the end of the day, they always got their speedrun event. After all, there you go.
Yes.
Did, now I wonder if they, because I think there was like some speedrun live stuff prior to CGDQ, but I don't know if that was a Magfest thing.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
you know,
I'd have to ask someone even
MagFest
older.
definitely is the sort of event that such a thing would happen at, though.
Yeah, it sounds like it because you said it's very community driven, so that would make sense. But yeah, that's well before my time, well before most people's times in terms of speedrunning. So, but I do know people that were at CGDQ, but who knows before then? That's getting into very interesting time that not a lot of people were around for. Well before the boom of speedrunning took off, but it's interesting to think about. I'll have to do my research.
The very early history of speedrunning is, you know, always something that it's nice to hear more about as people, sort of look back at what happened when.
I have to imagine it was a little harder to find. Like you said, you were literally running in like the early 2000s. Although I assume those games have like some sort of in-game timer. I know games kind of had that back then.
I, uh, I, well, I mean, Spyro doesn't have one, and that's
It
the
doesn't.
game it
Okay.
was running at the time. I
Okay.
was just like using a timer.
Okay. Because I know a lot of games from that era would do that. Like, DK64 as an example comes to mind. It would have like a game timer and they would use that. Um so yeah, I'm not too familiar with PlayStation. I never grew up with it. So I was making an assumption. Oh well, but it was definitely a like thing of the time. That kind of
Yeah,
generation would have like some fancy IGT thing if you went to the settings of your game progress or whatever.
I think that I'm not sure that many PlayStation games did that other than RPGs.
Okay, so it's more like a Nintendo 64 thing then. Because a lot of N64, I think Banjo did that. Obviously, a lot of games with like IL stuff made that easy, like your Golden
Right.
Eyes, your
Yeah, I'm
FPSs.
saying besides IL stuff, I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
like,
No, yeah. I was mainly thinking like DK64. They have that
right.
kind of timer thing. I thought that was more prevalent in that generation, but it might have just been an N64 thing. Just those long collectathons. I know they would always kind of use the in-game timer total back at the start. But yeah, my history with a lot of those games aren't too good, so I don't know how many games truly use that. But made it easier for timing yourself. You didn't have to set
Yeah,
up
it
anything,
definitely
so
did.
that's how a
Yeah,
lot of
but
things got started. That's how you could post your
yeah,
stuff online and have it be accurate. You could post a screenshot and have your proof right there.
yeah, I think, yeah, I suppose, especially in that day, there definitely is something to be said for that as a good piece of proof of the run.
Mhm. Granted, that doesn't fly as well today because in-game timers can be all sorts of jank sometimes, but
Yes,
for the time, it was.
so many things weird things we've learned about in-game timers and when they do and don't count.
Mhm. Yeah. Since you were saying you really started with Pokemon, like I know that's a franchise that always had kind of an in-game time.
Yes, and at the time we actually did the leaderboards for that, like the glitchless categories uh, by that, which
Hmm.
always felt a bit weird to do because it only shows you minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
But like I remember how big of a uh, deal it was seeing the first 149 in uh, red glitchless.
Yeah, I was gonna say my only experience with kind of Pokemon stuff was Salt's old video on, I think it was red, blue, yeah, 20% glitchless. And so going over the history of how they did IGT and how much if you suddenly slapped an RTA timer, it would like fluctuate. And they eventually moved to that because it was more accurate. But
Right.
just
Plus, it would allow plus uh, plus it would still count the time if you reset.
oh yeah, that's right. They don't count
Whether
that.
to allow that to like whether to allow resetting in the glitchless categories was a you know
Hmm.
was a frequently discussed point for some time.
That's interesting. I didn't think that would be a debate kind of thing. But was it just a debate because it screwed up IGT kind of stuff?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the
I
main
see.
reason because we were basing things on IGT at the time still,
That makes more sense.
so resetting would void it.
Okay.
But we decided that we wanted to be able to make more use of RNG manipulation from like running from resets of the game.
Hmm. Okay. That makes sense. And it all worked out. Yeah,
Right.
so many games have got off of IGT. Sonic games were doing that forever, and they kind of stopped doing that. At least the 2D ones. Again, the ones to the second that fluctuate and you don't get punished for pausing and such. That kind of thing. So,
Right. But yeah, in the Sonic games though, that would lead to things like not wanting to be just below 30 seconds due to
yeah,
the
they
longer
had it for a
bonus
different reason, but
countdown.
now they do their timing RTA, but you subtract the time lost from the bonuses, so it's a much more accurate timing system.
Yeah, that's a that's a good compromise
Yeah. I guess
to make
Pokemon had it a
time
little
more
bit
meaningful.
easier because you can just start timer and not have to worry about it. But that game is like, oh, there's this whole feature that punishes you for your speed. No. Well, actually, it's funny. They were trying to reward you for speed, but they punish you for speed. Oh, irony. Anyway, um, I guess we kind of did the summary of you. I guess kind of went
Yeah,
off on a tangent there, but
right.
yeah, I don't know much about what Pokemon game did you say you started with again?
Red, the
Okay.
glitchless category.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then I got a bit involved in blue, well, any percent no save corruption, which for red blue we would do on blue. Uh, Pokemon Yellow no save corruption, which is the glitch category that I did that reroute for.
Mm-hmm.
I also did some Pokemon Gold glitch. That is a that had a route at the time that I really enjoyed that executed arbitrary code from your box names. And oh, I also uh, ran the Pokemon trading card game, Game Boy game for
Mm-hmm.
a while. Very briefly, held the record in it with some asterisks I always put on
Mm-hmm.
mentions of that nowadays because it was defined in a sort of, you know, way that makes that feel somewhat artificial looking back.
What's the reason for that?
That at the time, emulator runs didn't count, and
Ah, I see.
well, and the community, just because of the unskippable tutorial at the beginning of that, well, we thought it was unskippable at the time.
Hmm.
Uh, like there was just commu- uh, a community agreement of you can start from a like for things like races of the game, you can start from a save file just right after the tutorial, add in 8 minute and 3 second penalty, and
That's a lot of cutscene.
everyone does essentially everyone does this because the tutorial is just so much of a slog.
Yeah, it sure
But
sounds like
because
it.
but because you couldn't really effectively do that on real hardware,
Mm,
only you know people doing people running on real hardware had to you know deal with that every time. So very few people would run it like that,
mm.
and yeah, I was willing to do some runs of that, and yeah, ended up with the best non-emulator time for a bit.
So official to their standards back then, but
Yes, just with some asterisks as to
yeah,
what
yeah,
the standards were.
yeah, of course. Because again, my knowledge with like Game Boy Pokemon stems from the one summoning salt video because I've never been big into old Pokemon games for speedrunning. It is interesting though, especially when you get into like the arbitrary code and save corruptions, etc. But I know it sounds like a lot of those games all kind of had some stigma against emulator. Um, because that was a big talking point. I remember from the
Right.
video was emulated
Yeah,
runs.
yeah, but that's a lot more accepted now than it was in
Yeah,
the
and I'm
past.
sure emulators have just gotten more accurate anyway, so that probably
Yes, that
helps.
too.
Yeah. I don't know what Game Boy emulators were like back then, but I'm sure things have gotten better, hopefully.
Yeah. Actually, if I remember right, the uh, early gen Pokemon still requires if you do emulator runs to like for Gen 1 and 2 using a custom branched version of uh, Combate that emulates a some aspect of the hardware behavior. I don't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head that the manipulations from Reset rely on.
Hmm. So there's still some stuff about it, but I guess it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, another glitched category I uh, was involved a bunch in, and well, was uh, Pokemon Blue Catch 'em All.
The catch 'em alls. I've heard interesting things about these categories.
Oh yes, that route. Uh, yeah, that route went through like it was like 2015 and 16 sort of were the sort of pinnacle of discoveries and frequent rerouting of that category was always interesting to see what they would find next and what like and how the run would be changed to make use of it. But yeah, my favorite specific route for that category, and one that I since then have like still gone back and just played through since I enjoy that particular route so much is the route at the time of SGDQ 2015 uh, when Shenanigans did his run of that uh, there. Uh, that was actually the first time I was ever mic'd on a GDQ couch, and
Mm,
it remains my favorite ever GDQ couch I've been on.
really? So started strong and never got better. Nah, it's funny. But wow, that's over 10 years ago now. It's crazy.
Yes, yeah, uh, it certainly was an interesting feeling, attending AGQ last year, knowing that that was, that marked 10 years of attending them.
Your 10-year anniversary. I
Yes.
remember I was at when GDQ celebrated their 10-year anniversary.
I mean, that was
That was
certainly an
2020.
interesting one too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed in the opening show for that the like throwback to what CGDQ was supposed to be,
Yeah, that's right.
including briefly using the same webcam, if I remember right.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I need to go watch that back.
Yeah. I also remember like there was a
Audio
segment.
on track 2. That's what I
Uh
remember from back in the day. I've seen some VODs
oh,
of the older runs.
right. I was oh from that opening show. One of the other things I remember from that is there was a like sort of trivia quiz bit, and
Mm,
one of the questions was where CGDQ was originally intended to uh, something that was referencing the specific location it was originally supposed to be, and
mm,
it was, you know, something about there was some. Uh, I remembered what the venue of Magfest was that year, even though I hadn't started attending Magfests yet, and
mm.
so I remember like telling the people, a friend I was sitting next to, that that I would know the answer to it, but I don't think that a lot of other people would.
Hmm. What I remember, I think it was the closing video they did, but it was just a time lapse of Mike 89 sleeping for like a bunch of hours on the couch, but he was always visible on camera for like multiple runs. He's like, he must be dreaming about GDQ's future, something like that. I don't know. uh, but yeah, I've watched back some GDQ runs, and it's fascinating how different it is, but also very cool. I like the historical aspect of that kind of stuff, so I'm glad it's all archived. They've been pretty good about archiving everything.
Yeah, that is certainly something really good. I mean, uh, like, think of how many times in things like a summoning salt history of something, the video of a particular thing was lost.
Yeah, happens way too frequently and was only made worse by the lovely Twitch change of limiting your hours of VOD.
Oh
But
yes.
hopefully, most people got through that without too much damage. But I know people had to do far more work than others. I was lucky enough to have already been archiving all my stuff, so got lucky there. But Plenty were not as fortunate, but I know at least with
Yeah,
GDQ specifically, they've been good about having all their stuff saved somewhere.
yeah, they always have been really good about archiving their stuff.
Anyway, I went on a tangent again. We were talking about the Pokemon run you were commentating. So that was a catch 'em all at a
Yes,
GDQ.
it
What?
was.
I mean, I'm not too familiar, so you hear catch 'em all and you assume that's got to take forever. How long was forever back then?
About 2 hours.
Of course.
Not too different from the amount of time the glitchless category takes.
I was gonna say because back then it was like in the 1.5x's, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I assume it uses a lot of unintended mechanics,
Oh, absolutely. Like
but
the whole point of the routes for that is to cobble the most optimal glitches together to get everything without directly setting Pokedex flags. And I think there was one more condition to prevent a route that sort of cheapens it, but I don't remember what exactly it was.
because you could corrupt the data in a way where it just says, "Oh, you did it all, good job," but it's like you didn't actually.
Yeah, essentially you had to get all of the Pokedex flags by doing something that would put you through the usual code path for it being set when a Pokemon's caught.
Okay, not complicated at all, I'm sure, but
Well, it meant that you pretty much had to catch them from a battle.
yeah, no, it makes sense. But
How the battle starts or
yeah,
how the or how valid of a state the battle is in is a different question.
I can imagine. That's got to be incredibly entertaining though to complete the
It
game
was.
oh, correctly in huge air quotes, but you know what I
Yep.
mean. And
Actually completing the goal on the box.
yeah, exactly. In 2 hours. Oh, that's funny. Are there
Yeah,
like
but
catch 'em all
that
glitchless runs? I assume no one wants to do that.
there like there have been as a meme or
Yeah,
like a stretch sub reward or things like that. I think Shen and Etiquette did one once, and it was like 7 hours or something.
honestly, that's far faster than I was assuming it would take. So I'm already impressed.
I don't remember exactly the time scale. It could be more or less than that, but it was, several times the
Well,
the
yeah, of
amount of time
course.
that uh, the glitched part took.
Yeah, that just still seems like. I mean, it's obviously a good length of time, but for catching all 151 Pokemon without glitches, it sounds like pretty fast.
Yeah, then well, actually, there are some interesting considerations in the routing of that because of, needing to trade the version exclusives to each other and
Oh, that's right, because
mutually exclusive Pokemon to
yeah.
each other. Somebody needing to trade over their starter and reset to take the third starter,
Oh my god.
and and needing to, you know, try and have each partner do things that are roughly equal amounts of time between trading sessions.
I briefly forgot that you can't just boot up a Pokemon game and collect them all. They're not designed that way. So, but I assume with the beautiful use of glitches, it's very possible to boot up the game and catch them all.
Yeah, it- yeah. Glitches make anything possible.
And that's why we love them, right? No one's ever
right.
been mad at glitches before.
The actually the glitched routing and like, finding ways to glitches together to accomplish various purposes actually, you know, spawned. I actually did a talk at a small information security conference in, I forget whether it was 2018 or 2019, like about looking at doing that from like the perspective of security research
Oh, huh.
because it's, a lot of what you're doing is the conceptually the same as uh, like how finding and leveraging software vulnerabilities like in the more usual sense works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That was a big scare for N64 emulation. One of the popular emulators, you could like run arbitrary code, and running it on your computer would like make it vulnerable in some way. I don't know. I'm no tech expert in that sense, but
Yeah, well, that's the sort of, I mean, that's actually the sort of thing that like ties the two worlds together, where like the game can poke the hardware in such a way that it hits a security bug in the emulation of it,
mhm.
and so sort of breaks out of the emulator.
Yeah, I remember. I know a guy that used that to make a Mario 64 ROM hack that would mess with the emulator itself in unique ways. But unfortunately, those same ways could also be used to like destroy your computer in some way. No, he didn't do it
Yeah,
that way, but the fact that it could be used for that had to like it was a whole mess, I remember. And I think
yeah, but
they really try
yeah,
to
when
make
things,
people not install that emulator anymore.
oh yes, yeah, when things, I mean, when things like that happen, there will always be people who like do some fun things with it just because they can,
Yeah. But there are also people that will do not fun things with it because they can. And
right?
that and that's the bad part. But yeah, I I don't know how many bad things happened with that specific instance. I just know of the one funny thing that came from it, but I think that emulator's been like banned from in one way or another. I don't know. Again, I'm no expert, but I just remember this was a thing.
Yeah, it does tend to mostly like be older emulators that this happens to, which tend to have emulation issues of other kinds to cause them not to be like accepted for runs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do recall. I think it was a Paper Mario task. That end goal was it blue screens your computer. So there's that.
There is.
There's that. Fun stuff. But anyway, when they actually stay inside the game itself, at least that's where fun things happen,
Yep, it is. And
and not
with such
scary
a,
things.
yeah, but like with such a glitch heavy run uh Catch 'em All, like putting the glitches together to accomplish what you want, like different invocations of them and how you can set up the necessary preconditions and things like that. Yeah, like that's where things tend to become a bit of an art.
Oh yeah, I mean, I already consider like speedrunning an art in its own way, and then you can have your subgenres of art in your speedrun niche. That's for sure.
Yep.
Hell, you can literally create art like in the artistic sense. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but you know, you look at like a brain age task, right? You
Oh
know what I
yes.
mean?
Yes,
So
just
you can truly
having
do anything with the
you
power of
can,
arbitrary code.
or in that case, with through the power of horrifically abusing the text parser.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, always some fascinating stuff you can do. I mean, yeah, I just know Pokemon's big with the whole plenty of arbitrary code, plenty of save corruption shenanigans. I mean, hell,
Yeah,
that game
that's
has made missing no a thing.
yeah, that's one of the like just all the depth to the mechanics and how much the game isn't telling you, how much the game behaves not quite the way that it's documented to,
Mm,
uh, and similar things are, yeah, it's one of the things that made uh, like the routing of Pokemon at the time so appealing to me and being involved in that.
yeah, that couldn't have been
Things
an
like
easy
badge,
task. That's for sure.
yeah. Then you even have some things like badge boost stacking where like the game has like there's the documented mechanic of certain badges boosting certain stats, but the game applies that well can apply that several can apply that multiple times under some conditions.
Hmm.
And two of the badges effects as documented in both the game's manual and in uh, like what an NPC that's there to explain this to you if you want, and what the gym leaders tell you the badge does. Two of the stats that those badges say that they raise are swapped.
Hmm. That's a small oversight. Hmm.
Yeah, it's there's a whole world of depth in like even in things like the code paths for some parts of the game that like reveal that things were so close to being implemented some way or like there are signs that something had been intended to possibly work a different way. Uh, so many things to discover in there.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's the franchise that keeps on giving with
It
those
really
old.
is.
Like,
Also, shout outs to everyone involved in, well, not just for Pokemon, but any fan disassembly project.
yeah, that all goes over my head. I'm not smart enough for that kind of stuff, but I'm
Yeah, like
amazed by the people that are.
there's so many things we only know about certain games because of those.
Yeah, that's right. Like people trying to break games for speedrunning purposes end up discovering things that are like beneficial to just the documentation of the game itself.
Exactly.
So it's all a net positive. See, don't be mad at glitch hunters. They're very important. No one's ever been mad at glitches. Anyway, that's my point.
All
No
right.
one has ever been mad. So, is that kind of your Pokemon history?
Pretty much is that's my Pokemon history.
Yeah. It is interesting um kind of hearing how complicated it is behind the scenes, as a casual observer, me not understanding anything about what's going on behind the scenes. It's nice to learn because you see something like beating the game however they do it now and makes no sense at all. But to some people it does, and they can document that, and that's cool because I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's always interesting to see what's found and documented.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, again, my knowledge is limited, so I don't know anything else on the topic. But it is a fascinating world, at least. People with more knowledge can find more info or receive it. Anyway, kind of move on into, I guess, the PlayStation era then.
All right.
So
Yeah,
you came back
sure.
after a nice decade plus
Yes.
to do it for real.
Yeah. I mean, uh, a lot of what, a large part of what like got me wanting to actually do a lot of, uh, you know, like start doing real runs, you could
Uh-huh.
say, was getting to know a lot of the members of the Sprash community. That's a common way we contract Spyro and
Sprash.
Crash, since there's
I
a lot
haven't
of
heard
over
that one yet.
Sprash. Yes, uh, just getting to know a lot of the runners from those communities that were at AGDQ 2015. Um, I, I still like it took me a bit of time to get my hands on what I would need to uh, stream runs, but once that happened, uh, yeah, it was nice and yeah, especially Spyro 120. I tended to find yeah somewhat relaxing to do in some contexts. I mostly feel like it's well, I feel like a lot of it's the music.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like knowing like any actual strats at all from having watched some of the existing runs, uh, like I like on my first run, I beat the by a lot the best time I like from that time as from when I was much younger, which I fully expected.
Yeah.
Um, and then I slowly ground my times, especially in Spire 1 120. That was the main Sprash category I was doing at the time. Uh, it was satisfying to keep grinding my time down more and more and more. I only ended up getting down into like the 140s. Uh, or really good runs at the time were low 120s and now are upper 110s.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they're always good games to run and interesting community events too. Uh, one that I took part in, well, for a few different years, and yeah, that I'm probably going to try and do again this year is uh, once a year there is the Fresh Vector race of 100%ing all three of the OG crashes and all three OG Spyros for the original PlayStation. Uh, Doing all of those, uh, my time is about, I believe last time was 17 hours and some.
Hmm. It's quite the marathon.
Yes. For runners that are good at all six of the games, yeah, the times are of course several hours faster than that, but still a good time to be part of. And you know, there often is a chain of towards the end of people finishing their runs and rating the next person who is
Mm.
closest to finishing,
Yes,
uh,
the raid train.
creating a creating a chain of encouragement for everyone to follow through and finish their run.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that do the 602 for the 3D Mario games, and they do pretty much the same exact thing. So, not uncommon.
Right. Yeah, this is pretty much the Splash equivalent of that.
Yeah. In fact, I know there
Then
are some things that combine both of those.
I was just about to
Yeah.
say you have those things that include both, like the 1545.
Yeah. Which is what all of that, but also rare games.
Yes. So 602 plus Splash Effecta totals 642,
Okay.
and then the rare games only have one extra percent.
Mm,
So that, and that's how you get 1545.
yeah. And was that Banjo 1 and 2 and DK64?
I believe so.
Okay. So, if you if you really want to hate your life, there you go, but I know a few people that have done that. I know usually you do it as like a relay. In fact, I think you've done some relays before, right?
I have. Yeah, I've done individual games in at least well, one of the individual games in at least one of the 1545s. I yeah, I've also been part of some multi-category relays and some you know, another game I actually don't think I mentioned too much yet is that I also had gotten into you know, got into Super Metroid for a bit.
Hmm. Okay. Definitely a popular game to get into. Definitely a hard game
Yes,
to get into.
it really is. But the learning curve on that's been uh, an interesting aspect of it just because of, you know, in so many places, like doing or not doing some trick doesn't affect things too much. So, like as far as the route goes, so you can add tricks as you get to know them.
Mhm.
And then there are the ones that do radically affect the route, uh, like which boss order you do in any percent.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a. Well, first I need to play that game for real, but I don't know if that's a run I could ever have the mental strength to pursue. Not that I even want to, but man, that
Yeah.
game
Oh,
is very difficult, but incredibly fascinating.
it is just seeing like from the first time I played it and as I started to get deep into like looking at how different routes work and different categories work and seeing also things like some of the historical like special one-off goal races that
Mm.
have happened through the years just showed how much depth there is to pretty much everything, like every aspect of that game.
Yeah, you can run that game in a lot of different ways. You have your 100%, your low percents, your glitch categories that aren't even considered main.
Yep. And you have yep, 7 different 14%, um, a few misc categories that have enough following to like have been still categories in multi-category tournaments, like all mini bosses RTA is a particularly fun one.
Yeah, and then you're able to beat the game in the reverse boss order and with
Yep.
all these different.
Just
I don't know.
so many things that are possible just by, well, knowing enough about the game and being able to execute those things.
Mm-hmm. And that
Like I
execution is
actually,
not
I
easy.
it is not. I I have completed RBO once.
Mm,
Uh, it took me multiple hours.
that would make sense. I have heard it is not the easiest thing in the world to do, actually.
It
In fact,
really
some
is
may
not.
say it's quite hard. It's almost like it's not
Yeah,
intended, but
yeah, there were a couple times when I uh, got myself into like the first couple times I tried, I it tended to be coming back from Ridley where would get myself into a position that I just couldn't get out of, and that resulted in my first couple, some of my first few attempts, not finishing.
yeah,
But yeah, completing it once was enough for me.
yeah. Anyone that can do that is good
Yeah,
at the game.
yeah.
I
There were
know.
also, yeah. Uh, there also like through the late 2010s, particularly, there were a lot of different tournaments held um, that brought in people from like of all different skill levels, uh, and yeah, the degree to which everyone's been like so supportive of each other and like across all different skill levels is more speedrunning community magic.
Hmm. Yeah, there definitely can be overlap, which is nice, especially when you bring out the multi-game stuff. There's quite a bit of
Yes.
overlap, but
Yeah. Also during that time, like, I yeah got to I ended up discovering how much I uh, like uh, doing commentary for that sort of those sorts of things,
mhm.
and that was a fun world to get into.
Yeah, that's a whole nother skill set. It's one thing to play the game, but then you got to explain the game,
Yep.
which is not as easy as some may think. Especially
Yep. There
because it's
really is
like,
a
how
lot
do I
to it.
explain this to someone that doesn't know what's going on? And you're like, oh wait, that's not easy, because you know what's going on. So it's like, what if I didn't? How would I? I don't know. Not easy.
Yeah. Also, like, sort of the balance between talking about how certain things work in general and
Yeah.
what's going on can, yeah, sometimes be a bit hard to find.
Mm, yeah. Documentation. It's important.
Exactly.
As I'll always say, because sometimes important information about your speed game gets lost, and that's not helpful for new people coming in. So, there's my tip of the day. Always archive your information. Anyway, um, anything else in your history of games that we haven't gone over?
I guess it's worth saying that with some of the Super Metroid stuff I got into, I also found myself enjoying a lot of the randomizers, and that actually caused me to start, learn just enough Link to the Past to be able to like at least do some things in that randomizer. And no, that was mostly motivated though by being able to, by allowing me to finish the combined randomizer, which I found to be such an interesting thing when that first came out.
Yeah, the Link to the Past and Super Metroid combined. I
Yes.
I know that's a popular one.
Yeah, when that, I remember how much my mind was blown when that first came out. And then actually, one of the North American speedrunner assemblies back at the time, I did a co-op run of a combo rando uh, with someone who knew Link to the Past better than Super Metroid, where we just switched off by game and we had a
Mm.
really good time with it.
Yeah, that's got to be fun. I think I've only ever seen one person do both, but yeah, that's fun because this time you hand it over. I don't know. Those have always been fun. More cooperative stuff, especially when it's like usually when you see multiple people, it's like in competitive aspects, but the cooperative stuff is fun. Like I know for a finale, GDQ finale not too long ago, there was the like co-op Super Metroid. That was a pretty good example.
Ah, yes, I remember that. Well, it also reminds me how much I'm looking forward to the 70 star relay.
Oh yes, we're so back.
We
I
are.
I was in all of the pace ones. So
I did I did a star in I definitely was in one of them. I don't remember if I was in the other. But I know the star I did was Wall Kicks Will Work.
ah, did they work?
Yes, they did.
That's good. Yeah, I well, I remember there was two 70s and a 120. Although one of them wasn't part of the main event. It was just kind of like in in the room.
Oh, right. The first one I believe happened in, yeah, I forget whether we'd merged the practice and main stage rooms at the time, but
No, not yet. And I know this because the day that relay happened was the Mario 1 tournament day, and that was in that room.
oh, right.
That's why I
Yes.
remember this because I remember we finished that and then I dashed over because I was barely in time for my star.
Oh,
Good
oh my.
times. But I
Yep,
nailed
good
that
times.
top of the mountain TTM. Like it's
All
perfect.
right.
And
Yeah.
then
I,
the next event they moved it to the main stage. And they gave me bits. Thanks Joey. I At least it was entertaining because I completely fumbled everything at the very end, but it's fine.
right. Yeah. I miss pace.
Yeah, I did. I miss aspects of pace at least. Obviously, uh, I kind of understand why it doesn't exist anymore, but yeah, it was fun overall, and yeah, it was definitely a different vibe.
It was.
So
Uh,
I'll
like
definitely
I also,
miss aspects of it. Yep.
yeah, the very first one was a particularly interesting vibe.
Was that the like 29 pre-COVID?
It was.
Yeah, that was the only pace I didn't go to. But yeah, all what was it? Five of them? I think there were five post COVID, and I was at all of them.
Uh, that sounds about right.
Hmm.
Yeah, for yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell uh one of the events from the others for those, especially since I was part of tech for the last few.
Yeah. I was gonna say again, you're tech for every event, pretty sure. So,
Yeah, for quite a few of them.
but yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Tech is what I mainly do for uh, the Steel City Speedsters events too.
Hmm. Yeah. Um.
But
Actually, we
Pace
could.
also,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, Pace also is where I, yeah, found my love of another common marathon volunteer role that doesn't involve tech. Well, nominally. Well, that isn't on the tech side, I should say.
Hmm.
Hosting's a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. So you started hosting for like. Have you volunteered hosting for GDQ then?
I've gone for it several times. I actually did it at GDQX 2023.
Okay.
Uh, so that's the like only time I've done it on a full-size GDQ stage, but
Hmm.
not like fully flagship event. But yeah, as I do it for more and more events, and each one helps me get more practice and get better at it, and yeah, eventually it'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
haven't tried anything like that.
well, at Pace, it sort of ended up being so like it didn't yeah, like I didn't like end up intentionally trying to do host things. It just sort of happened.
Uh, a lot of
But
things just kind of happened at those events. That's
yes,
for sure.
yes, yeah. But well, during the speedrun showcase part of those events, uh, yeah, it was usually up to commentators to read off the donations.
Hmm.
And a couple came in during two runs that in a row that I was on comms for at Pace 2022. And with and reading them off, I uh, yeah, realized this is a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
Um, the speedrun marathon at well, Magfest at the next Magfest, I just decided to sign up for one of the hosting shifts, and I had a whole lot of fun with that. And ever since then, I've been tending to go for that at uh, like as many different marathons as I can.
Hmm.
Uh, I've been a host at the last three RPG limit breaks too. Gotten pretty nice runs on them also. But I have such a fun time with it.
Hmm.
And yeah, until Pace 2022, I never thought I would enjoy it so much.
So you kind of having to fulfill that role just because of how their setup was. You kind of found an interest you didn't know you had.
Exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, that was I know doing like solo comms for a run. Yeah, they at the pace they made you also kind of do donations. I don't recall getting a lot for stuff I would have to commentate, but that was definitely different. Although I think that was like my first time ever really doing commentary in that regard. I think because yeah, I wouldn't have done like any GDQ commentary yet. So yeah, I guess that kind of opened me up to commentary then in that aspect, which I do kind of like. I don't think I'm particularly fantastic at it, but I mean it is fun, especially if you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it really is. And when I was starting to do like some of the uh, Super Metroid tournament comms, like I knew at the beginning that I wasn't going to feel particularly good about it until I got fully used to doing it. But as that happened, I just got so much more comfortable doing it, and it showed.
Hmm. Actually, you know what I need for commentary is a co-commentator or
That
like the
really helps.
runner. Yeah, I because I've done like plenty of solo comms, and to me that's just it doesn't feel right. But if I have someone to bounce off of, and like even the runner, that helps so much for me. That makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I always uh, for the Super Metroid tournament things, yeah, I always felt like I had a much better time when I had a co-commentator than the times that I didn't.
Mhm.
And yeah, it also worked out nicely that uh, actually at the most recent Speed Gaming Live, I decided to try and do a bit of uh, SM commentary again. And yeah, since I was really rusty at it, it was so nice to not have to hold down the whole thing myself.
Yeah. So, out of curiosity, what do you do like on the tech side of things?
Like marathon tech, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, really sort of whatever needs doing.
Hmm.
Like larger events, split that into often split it into things like a stream tech that runs OBS and a stage tech that hooks everything up. And yeah, I've done all those roles at some point. I actually have made it up to engineer at uh, on the GDQ tech side, and uh, you know, this year became staff of RPG Limit Break because they needed more producers.
Hmm. So you can just do it all.
Yeah, it's like getting to know each little thing that each little aspect of things that happen. Uh, yeah, that's what lets you do what needs doing when something strange happens during a setup, which
Has never happened before.
happens.
No, it's never happened before. That's what I've heard.
No, it hasn't. Never. It
Yeah,
hasn't
yeah.
happened before.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Since I like mentioned that staffing and stuff, like of course anything I've been saying is just my own opinions and things like that.
Hmm. Well, this is more again just out of curiosity. But how many events do you go to?
I'm not sure I want to think about that.
Because, as I was saying,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're just at every speedrunning event ever somehow, and I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. It does help that so many are in the Northeast US.
Yeah, but I mean, they're
So
still
they're
fairly
not much.
spread out.
Yeah. I like it's just a case of like so many like for a lot of the farther flung ones, it actually ends up being like that something like some interaction at some other event gave me a reason to want to check
Mm.
that event out.
So you just
Uh,
go to everything to see what everything is like. Got to get a trial run of every marathon ever.
and that's what I mean. That's how it's has ended up being. But I like never really consciously thought of it that way.
No. I'm making a joke. Don't worry. But
Yeah, yeah, but just things like if I see something that looks interesting and the potentially interesting to go to, or it has a lot of people I might know there, and the scheduling works out, then I'll do what I can to be there.
yeah. Which ends up seemingly being most speedrunning events in the U.S. that are at least on the East Coast.
Yeah, I've had, you know, some of the ones that I've gone to further away have still been really interesting experiences in their own right. Still, uh, uh, like the last in-person Calathon to happen, I went to and
Oh wow.
had a
Yeah.
great time there.
Yeah, I've never been able to like catch a Cali-thon. I met the guy that ran it, but yeah, I've never really got to see it, but I know that was big, especially it was like one of the only like West Coast events that got fairly popular. So it's a shame that had to go away. I think that was a COVID thing, but
Uh, I don't remember exactly, but I, well, oh, Calathon did run the a speedrunning stage at MagWest
oh,
the first time it was back in person.
okay.
And well, actually, MagWest just started having speedrun stages that they run in-house, like MagFast at MagWest, essentially. So
Hmm.
uh, hopefully that goes some places and gives some more West Coast speedrun events.
Hmm. Yeah, most of the like I don't know of every gaming expo on the West Coast, but the couple I do know of have like a Tetris scene. Like your SoCal has your Tetris, your Portland has your Tetris. PAX West is like the only thing I can think of that that has a GDQ scene there, and then I guess there's the Magfest Fast thing now. Although the Mario one people are taking over SoCal a little bit, just a little bit. We're trying, but yeah, the West Coast needs some more. Actually, you know what really needs it is central area. I've got nothing. Any speedrun event I want to go to, I have to take a plane. I have nothing. Very sad, but oh well.
Yeah, there are areas where there aren't really that many events. Like one of the some of the best times I've had at events have been at just a lot of the smaller and more locally scoped ones.
Hmm. Yeah. Um.
I- That's part of why uh, helping with Steel City Speedsters has been a good time, and like why I keep doing that stage at RGB Land,
Mhm. Yeah.
especially since that stage sort of absorbed the community of a series of events that would occur in a a retro game store in the Philly area that you know, that weren't able to continue after COVID.
Yeah. So
But like a lot of the regular runners I have for RGB LAN are were regular runners uh, at those events, which that was Next Level Speedrun Showcase.
mhm. Okay. So at least they found somewhere to go. I guess
Yep.
always good.
sort of a spiritual successor to those events.
But yeah, since you've been to so many, I'm just kind of curious, like what each one. You don't have to go over every single one, but just kind of what's unique and interesting about the different, especially the smaller ones. Not GDQ, I guess. But just again, there's so many, and you don't really hear about them as much. So I'm just kind of curious what's out there.
Uh, yeah, I mean, everyone is unique in its own way with like uh, locally oriented ones have like you'll see, of course, a lot of people that are from closer to that area, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, convention ones you just have the sort of people with overlap in interests with the convention matter, and uh, there are some of the like some a couple that I've been to have been like had a only a really small in-person component, which has been yeah just interesting to be at a just marathon with not that many people.
What do kind of like what do the smallest ones like have as far as turnout then?
Uh, like some are like only like for some like the turnout isn't more like some don't get more than like uh 30 or 40 people, and so yeah you have a lot more opportunity to get to know everyone.
Make do with what you have. Are they able to fill out a schedule still?
Generally, yes.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I've never been to anything too small unless you count the Mario one tournament at earlier this year, but that's kind of exclusive to one game. When I think of speedrunning event, I think of more, open to any speedrunner kind of a thing. So I guess I wouldn't really count
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I think of it that way too.
Yeah, so in terms of that, like I guess unless you count like a PAX GDQ showcase or whatever, but like PAX is already like a huge thing. I guess Pace would be the smallest thing I've ever been to, and even that wasn't that small, at least compared to what you're saying. Like the
Yeah, yeah.
2022
One of the
was like very tiny from what I'm used to. And that was still like over 100 people.
yeah, yeah, that although that was, I believe, also the year when we still had like when we also had the main space like of Xanadu and not just the event space. So
Yeah, I
people were
remember
all more
2022.
spread
They
out
blocked off.
as well.
2022 blocked off the main room because they're like
Oh,
voting or
right.
something.
Yes, that was the time when the big room was a polling place, so
Yeah, yeah.
we couldn't use that part of it.
Luckily, there weren't enough people there for it to matter yet. That came later, but
Right.
so it all worked out. But I do remember that.
Yeah. Actually, I will say of small events, like probably the most memorable one where I think the like smallness of the event created an interesting vibe has been Buckeye Speed Bash.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that at all.
So I mean, uh, that's you know, an Ohio-based one that
Mm.
it's been a bit since the last time they were able to have an event, but yeah, it's a small one, but very but a very friendly one.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool. There's there's a lot popped out throughout. Just again, nothing near me, but I can deal with that. Not unless one like appeared in the city I live in, I wouldn't travel to them anyway because I gotta save up for the GDQs and stuff. But yeah, it is nice that there are some options for people, and hopefully smaller events can keep being successful and have some turnout, so they can either grow or have more similar things pop up for people that maybe don't have that option at the moment. I think it's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's also been good to yeah see how many more uh, online events are happening too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's always been online events, and that's its own thing. I mean, not to say they're any like easier or harder to set up or whatever, but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean
there are
there are some.
countless. There's always something going on. Like if you check the one site,
Oh, there always
there
is.
always is something. It is really cool that those can stay around. Seems like fairly easily for a long time, and each one, almost everyone, does like a different charity. So, I mean, just so much more content there. It's very cool.
If there is, and you know, I
But
will
that
say
is not the
from the
same
tech
vibe as
side,
an in
some
person
things
event.
there, yeah, but and also some things are more straightforward and some things are more complicated. Just from the tech side, I'll just say that.
Oh, from the tech side, I know, and I know this because the first GDQ I got into ever was SGDQ 2020. You can imagine how that was going.
Oh yes,
So I got to see the Switch firsthand a little bit, and it was a little rough, a little rough. Um,
yeah, but uh, yeah, they still figured it out nicely and got a
yeah, I mean,
good thing going for the times that that it had to be that way.
yeah, it was nothing major as far as I know, but yeah, I'll never forgive my capture being like 10 FPS though. Like, ugh, looks so bad. Ugh. But no, it's fine. But yeah, I remember some stuff about that. Definitely not easy. Online marathons aren't easy either. I have very much a lot of respect for anyone that can do any sort of event in person, online, etc. Especially as someone that's tried my own just to see how it's like. Whew. And I did all that on my own. Don't do that, by the way. Bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Successful marathons need a few people.
yeah, they do. Like, uh, I'm part of a team of well, three leads for Steel City Speedsters, and we couldn't do it without all of us,
Yeah.
plus some other staff and volunteers.
Hmm.
And while I actually mostly handle everything for the RGB land stage at the moment, like without the larger event happening around me, uh,
Yeah.
if I had to like deal with organizing that part too, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, you get handed a space to set up. If you had to figure out your own space, that's a whole nother can of worms I can't even imagine.
Oh yes.
That's for sure. Uh, well, never mind. The comparison I was gonna make wouldn't make sense. I shouldn't try to find. Never mind. Just never mind. This is a bad topic. Anyway, yes, events hard to set up in any aspect. So respect to the people that bring you the content. Very important. Because that content did not come easy, I promise. Regardless if it's in person, online, or whatever.
Yep,
But
there
just be
is.
grateful they're there showing cool things from cool people and giving money to good charities.
Yep,
That's
there is
what we're all
just
about.
there's just so much happening behind the scenes of every marathon to make it work.
Oh, yeah. Especially the large ones. Oh my gosh. But, yep. Small ones can work just fine too. There's events of all shapes and sizes, and they all have something unique to bring to the table. So, I don't know. That's one of my favorite things about the community is obviously my favorite part is going to like in-person events. That's always been the highlight of interacting with the community for me. So, and I know a lot of people kind of have similar feelings about that.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
So I will always be happy to talk highly about that kind of stuff because I have a lot of respect for all of it. Even though I cannot do the tech stuff. That's a whole nother level of dedication. I'm happy just sometimes doing a run, calling it a day. Well, speaking of actually, I don't think I've talked much about like marathon runs you've done. We just talked about your like behind the scenes
Ah,
work, but I'm sure you've
right.
done actual runs too.
Yeah, I've done some in, smaller events, of course. Yeah, have done, lately in a few online uh, marathons and some smaller in-person ones. I've been doing some splash categories, as well as having done some at the last couple of GDQ at PAX East stages.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, but I really need to and want to uh, get back into just doing runs of some things that are not sort of in the lead up to a marathon I got something into.
Mm.
Like I actually haven't streamed in quite a long time, but I want to fix that. I
Well, you
just
do
have
seem
had
busy.
so much else going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say you seem quite busy doing tech for every speedrunning event to exist, so I understand. But
Uh,
but it's nice you still want to do the actual speedrunning aspect as well.
yes,
It's always there
it,
for everyone, probably.
yeah, it is good to be doing that part too. Uh, I'm not anywhere close to the best in any game I run, but it's still I still have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, who cares? As long as you're having fun. That's that's the important takeaway. Because
Exactly.
I've definitely seen a lot of people get caught up in trying to be really good, but you can just have really fun instead. That should always be the primary focus, I think. But anyway, so more recently, anytime you've done like actual speed running, it's been just kind of preparing for a showcase.
It, mostly it has been. Uh, yeah, it hasn't ever really helped that a lot of the times, like when I go to something that I have a hand in helping run tech for, that my stream setup tends to, yeah, I tend to have had to take some part of it apart for that.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Well,
but I've been trying to, be better at having an intact setup when I can, and hopefully that'll let me do like start doing some streams again soon.
mhm. Well, when you do like pick up streaming again, what do you want to do?
Yeah, well, Smash Vector's in a couple weeks,
Mm,
so uh, probably I'll at least do a little derusting in each of the 6 games. And after that happens, we'll see.
no plans known yet, other than that.
Yeah, I am thinking maybe that'll get me back into doing some, like trying to improve my times again in some of the Sprash categories. Or, yeah, I've been thinking it would be good to uh, try and start to do something else so I have something other than Sprash to submit to marathons.
Mhm. What games do you want to do that you haven't yet?
Oh, I uh yeah, that's a that's a tough one to think about really. I've been thinking about possibly one of the miscellaneous categories of Super Metroid, or like seeing or trying to pick one of the Pokemon glitched categories back up again.
Back to the roots.
Yeah, you could say that.
But like a different Pokemon game, I assume.
Yeah, probably. Like the one, although I do feel like I should give the categories I previously did a try again, just to be more aware of how things generally stand with the routing of them nowadays, since it's been so long.
Yeah. I'm sure they're very different than what they were back then. That's generally
Yeah,
how those games go.
like when I was deep in Pokemon speedrunning, this was before things like Manip and the glitchless categories was allowed.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that's
a lot of things are very different.
so it'd almost be like a new experience, despite it being the same run.
It would be.
That's fun. See, I don't get that luxury ever. It's been the same for decades. But but oh.
Yeah, things. It's- yes. New things can always be discovered. Like, it wasn't until a few years ago that Moonfall in Super Metroid was found,
Mm.
and yeah, think about how much speedrunning attention that game's always had.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The best I've done is accidentally found a 3.7-second time save in 2J. Yippee.
Nice.
Yeah. We're making big time pushes in 2D Mario. Just enormous. But yeah, I always like seeing new things come out, especially in popular games. They like today just found a whole new thing for Mario 64, which, cream of the crop kind of a thing. Like SBLJ, you don't need to do a BLJ now to get through the door.
Oh, wow.
You can do like a
This is
backward speed slide on the railing and get enough speed to get ejected through the door. And
wow.
it should be easier and more consistent than SBLJ ever has been. So,
Yeah,
yeah, things are
I'm gonna have to
happening.
take a look at that.
Things are definitely happening.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Uh, It's like it's good to see how every, every game, even ones that we feel like we probably know everything about, there still are things to be found in them.
Yeah. Except Mario 1, that game solved. But
Yeah. Actually, Mario 64, one of the 12-hour challenges I learned 16 like a beginner 16-star route for it, and yeah, continue with that for a little bit. So
I missed the 12-hour
I've done
challenges.
I've done a little bit of SM64 to know a small number of the tricks.
Well, if you had to participate in the relay, gotta know what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
It's definitely a fun game to run. I've definitely put a good amount of time into it. Not a crazy amount of time into it, but the movement is
Yeah, actually,
satisfying.
it is. Oh, this also reminds me, uh, I also uh, actually spawned by another 12-hour challenge, did Sunshine any percent for a little bit.
Mm. Now you just gotta learn the galaxies and you do a 602, right? It's just that easy. No.
Yeah, it's
Hey, and you already know the Crash and Spyro, so then just do the rare games. So you do a 1545. It's perfect.
oh
This is a
yeah,
great idea.
it is a great idea.
I say with no sarcasm at all. Although, again, you have actually done it just in the much more understandable relay route. People that can do that solo have respect is a word, but there are other words too. But the relay is really cool. So it's fun that those have leaderboards that track all that.
Relays are fun, and uh, some of the more common like ones that are for sets of games, they're like speedrun.com categories that like have been made for them.
Mm-hmm.
So like a bunch of 1545 teams
Yeah.
like have times up there that are just this long list of runners.
Hey, everyone's got to have their credit,
Exactly.
no
Yeah, but it
matter
is
how
nice.
many people are involved.
Yeah, it is nice that that's a thing.
Which what that'd be like 13 people for those, I think.
Usually some teams have someone doing more than one game.
Oh, okay. The true relay would be 13 then, but because there are 13 different
Yes.
games for the 1545. I'm pretty sure. There's what, three Crash,
Yeah,
three Spyro, three Rare, four Mario. Uh, yeah,
right, yes.
I can math. I think.
Yeah, most of the time I can too.
Most of the time I can't, so I'm gonna take this one. But yeah, I haven't been part of a huge relay like that before. I don't think. I don't know what I've done anymore. You see, I should be better at documenting my own crap. But oh well. Um, I mean, I think I'm out of direct questions. Kind of asked everything I was going to. I mean, is there
Yeah,
anything we
well,
haven't talked about that you'd want to?
yeah, I think we've gone over most of what I would have wanted. We've like talked a lot about how I got into this, about like routing involvement with Pokemon, and you know, and moving on to being like doing more behind the scenes things. So yeah, uh, I think that pretty much does it.
All right.
Uh, my uh, on the marathon side, uh, my dream is to get in as a to host for a mainline GDQ at some point.
It's a good goal. I know that's pretty hard to do because there's so many
Yeah,
really good hosts and they can only
it
accept so
is.
many. I mean, it's probably just as hard to do that as to get a run in, and we all know that that's not free. So it's a good goal to have.
Yeah. Well, I I mean, the number of selected people compared to people who go for it isn't well, is somewhat higher proportion than for run submissions, but it's still not a large number of people.
Yeah,
But I will say though, you know, even in the like things like the audition servers, like, uh, prospective hosts are very supportive of one another.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I well, at least I don't usually hear about bringing other people down in this community. So, I'm not saying it's impossible, but definitely not what we're about. So, I'm not surprised to hear that regardless of what you're trying to do in the scene, people will support that,
Yeah,
which is pretty pog.
it really is.
But yeah, hosting's not something I'd personally be interested in, so I'm not familiar with the process personally. But doesn't sound like it's free. Like I know again there's an audition process and
Yeah, for larger events, there is. Actually, GDQ is a really cool system where you interact with a Discord bot that simulates hosting situations.
I have heard of this actually, yeah, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
They really go above and beyond at that. Granted, they are the largest speedrun charity marathon by a lot, so they get tons of stuff constantly swarming in. So you definitely need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you definitely do. And for events that are not as large, generally you like either need to record an audition of some kind, like with some prompts you're given, or provide some samples of other hosting or hosting like activities.
I see. Okay. Yeah, again, my only personal experience is just getting thrown into having to do that for like the pace stuff because yeah, like you said, the commentary and the commentators were also the posts. They didn't have like a separate thing for that, but they also didn't have like 10 donations every second, so that made it a little fine to manage.
Yeah, during that first time, I like that set of two runs. I that was a total of about 3.5 hours of runs, and I think that like I think there were only two donations for me to read.
Yeah, like
It was the middle of the night though.
yeah, and that first pace post COVID was not very large,
Right.
especially not until
Oh,
like the Mario 64 main event. But
yeah. Actually, one of the like besides the donation reading, one of the things that also showed me how like helped me discover my love of hosting was for the first run, they like Tech had asked if I wanted to do like on camera intro instead of them just going transitioning straight from the break screen to the runner. And I didn't feel up to it for that first run, but yeah, after what the donation reading felt like for the second run, I decided to go for it.
all right,
And yeah, that didn't turn out the best since I like it was my first time doing something like that, but
but you were
yeah,
kind of
that's
eased into it instead of just thrown right in, so that's good.
yes. And that was another thing that showed me that if I try this some more, maybe there's some things I can do with this.
Yeah, I do think pace helped me like learn that I do like commentating if I know what I'm talking about and have co-commentators. Those are my that's what I've learned from my experience because I had to do solo stuff. In fact, I think one of the first things I did for a pace was commentate a race where both runners weren't mic'd. So it's literally me having
Oh
to do
my.
everything. Don't recommend, although I think I managed fairly well. Um,
Yeah.
but
Actually, I my
oops.
my best the times of solo comms that I've felt the best about looking back have actually tended to be ones where I was doing a marathon run without another commentator.
Yeah, see that I
Uh,
suck
for,
at. I suck at speedrunning and talking at the same time. I always have. And I've had to do like solo comms for my own runs before. That's hard. That, people make it look easy. Those people are just good. I can't do that stuff.
yeah, one of the RGB land stages, there was a I filled in with a run for someone who couldn't make it to their scheduled time, and even with having to also do that run's tech and like be on the lookout for the runner after me who would need some special setup for their game, I feel like in that situation somehow I like pulled off the I think it was crash to any percent no go commentary that I feel the best about of any I ever did.
Hmm. Something about
And
being under pressure, right?
exactly.
The
I
adrenaline
then
really helps.
yeah, I then proceeded to forget that non-affiliate channels VODs only last 7 days and lost all the footage. But well, that
After
was a
we
learning
just talked
experience.
about saving all the information archival, for shame.
I felt terrible about when I realized that that had happened.
Well, I think you put in enough work to justify a mistake here and there, personally.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it is
sometimes
what it
these things
is.
happen.
And especially if you're just trying to like save Twitch bots, I already don't trust those on their own anyway. So Yeah. In fact, like I have one speed run I know that like I would save all my PPs as a Twitch VOD, and when I was uploading them all as like unlisted videos to YouTube as backup years ago, it was corrupted. Just like, okay,
Oh
thanks Twitch.
no.
It wasn't an important run, but it's like, okay, thanks. So that's just gone. And it's a weird corruption too, because like if it says like network error, but if you like highlight the time bar at the bottom, you can like see the thumbnails pop up. So I don't know.
That's strange.
It is very strange, and it's been like that for years, and I've just lost that run, I guess. But it wasn't important. But I am someone that tries to archive all of my stuff nowadays. I wasn't good about that like the first year or two, but I think I've saved most of everything, unless it was like two PBs in a day kind of a thing, and you just upload the one. But nowadays I save everything on YouTube, so I've gotten good about it.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot better at making sure that there are recordings other than the stream VODs of
Yeah, I don't
things
trust the stream
now.
VODs ever. Yeah, and especially now. Like one marathon run will take up your entire hours permitted alone, right? So you got to stay on top of that kind of stuff.
Yep, you do.
Yeah, I mean, last episode I had Zell from really longathon, so imagine how hard that is, right? To save their
Oh,
stuff.
that's yeah, that's gotta be interesting to deal with so much footage.
Yeah. So, yep. Again, a lot of respect for everyone that has any sort of aspect in the creation and archival of speedrun marathons, because as hopefully we've gotten the point across today, it is a task that is not easy. So that's our
No,
main
it's
takeaway. That's your
yep.
that's your
It's always
homework.
it's always nice to help make speedrun marathons happen.
Oh yeah.
Uh, it's un it's very unusual that I attend the same event twice without becoming involved in it.
So I've noticed. Yeah. I've thought of doing more work behind the scenes, but also when I go to a speedrun event at this point, I just am constantly doing fun stuff. So I just don't have time for the tech kind of stuff, which is more of like a selfish thing. But I mean, I don't know. I do like when I get runs in though, and I can help with like commentary or something, but like an actual like kind of volunteer position. I'm usually pretty lazy and don't bother with that kind of stuff, but I don't know. Maybe someday I'll, when my hands fall apart from too many Mario 1 speedruns, I can do something more active in that aspect, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not out of the question, because yeah, again, I have a lot of respect for the behind the scenes work. I've talked to a lot of people that work behind the scenes at marathons, and it's just nice to hear how the sausage is made, I guess, because it is a process, and everyone has
It is.
their important role that makes it all work. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm out of things to ask.
All right.
I
Well,
think so.
I think that we I think this is probably a good spot to
GG.
wow, it's been over 2 hours.
Yeah, that's usually the reaction I have is Oh, is it time to end? Oh, it's been 2 hours.
I wasn't sure I would even be able to go on this long.
Also, a common thing people say. My show just has that effect, I guess. When I say the estimate's 2 hours, I mean it. It always just almost always works out that way.
Yeah,
I can yap,
that's nice.
and I can let other people yap. That's what we do here. Anyway,
Yeah, it's good to just get this deep into what people have done and are doing.
yeah, I definitely find it interesting because yeah, everyone has their own journey through the scene and do their own kinds of work. So, just always interesting to get different perspectives. And that's why we've been doing this for almost 3 years. Almost there. But yeah, I think we're wrapping it up here. So
All right.
we already talked
Yeah.
about kind of your future plans and stuff. I mean, obviously name a in-person marathon coming up. You'll probably be there. So, but
Yes.
in
Yeah.
terms of your socials, you can shout out that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I am Stump 230. That's Stump 230 on Twitch. And Stump230.bsky.social on Blue Sky. Yeah. Again, it has been a while since I did a stream on that channel, but I am trying my best to do some before Sprashfecta,
Yeah. The
and
drive
then we'll
is
see where
there.
things go from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks so much for having me on this.
Well, thanks for
This
being
was a lot of fun.
interested in coming on. So appreciate it. I'm just happy people want to be on the show, honestly. So, but yep. And I appreciate everyone that continues to watch the show. Speaking of which, if you want to watch more of the show, stay tuned every Sunday here on YouTube. Very important. Um, there's plenty of content, I promise. Given this is episode 145, so I I've probably interviewed someone you want to hear from. Probably. It's incredibly possible. Or you can listen to people you've never heard of before, because again, everyone has an interesting story in the speedrunning scene and it's worth your time. It's the best self promotion I've ever done. Let's go. Anyway,
All right.
that'll end today's episode. So on that high note, so we will say our goodbyes now. Bye.
Bye.